Hello. Hi. Good evening. We are live according to YouTube. Let's go. Hi. I hope you had a good week. Last weekend. Given that it's Tuesday, and I couldn't make it yesterday for our usual stream times, right? So I'm thinking we do it today, Tuesday, and tomorrow as well. So we do get our two usual streaming days in. Right, I just sort of have to get in the right mindset, apparently. There was a lot of things that sort of transpired right up until I was supposed to stream, so we are a little later today. But we are finally ready. This is fun. My shirt here, it's a Games for Love shirt, and I wasn't exactly quite sure how it. I think I have worn it on stream once, but how it would react. You're not really gonna see my hands a whole lot though, so you know, it is what it is. Just thought it was funny. So we are not. Last time I think I said that I wanted to start digitizing Want, my fourth short story in my Forgotten Songs fantasy universe, and we're not doing that because I feel like it went so well last time with our hero's journey story structure and new novel that I just wanted to continue that, to be honest. And yeah, the hero's journey, if you're unaware, I feel like you should see my last live stream VOD of that, because we went through it meticulously and compared it to Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, where we basically went through all of these different points and acts that make up a great story. I am here preparing a novel for November, where I have challenged my good friend has challenged me to write an entire book during November, which was previously called NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month. We have to write 50,000 words in 30 days. And 50,000 words is just about the average for a book nowadays, or like the standard for a book nowadays. So what are we making? We are making a young adult, well, maybe a young adult fantasy novel where the main character, a 20 to 12-year-old Feyen, thwarts a plot to bring doom to the world. The entire novel takes place at a paladin castle in the human lands of some name that we haven't figured out yet. That was raised on the grounds of a great battle. Right. As I said, hashtag Novel November is probably the one we're going to go with. And then we're going to write 50,000 word book in 30 days. So there's a lot of preparation to be done, and that's why we are diving into the hero's journey. The hero's journey, like I said, it's a story structure, like it says here. Story structure to, make sure that your story makes sense and it's good. I mentioned that Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope is definitely, well, it's not based on the hero's journey, but it sort of basically follows each and every step really meticulously. There's a couple of the points are like squished together, but so it is. That doesn't make much sense. Right, there's a call to adventure, there's supernatural aid, threshold guardians, threshold beginning of transformation, challenges and temptation, abyss, death and rebirth, transformation, atonement, return with the gift of the goddess. That's the hero's journey. We have the one we followed yesterday was a little bit different. There was ordinary world, which is where, well, I guess it's the known world up here, and that's figure. Then there's a call to adventure, the refusal of the call, meeting the mentor, crossing the first threshold, test allies and enemies, approach to the inmost cave, the ordeal, the reward, the road back, resurrection, return with the elixir. Those are the 12 steps. I don't actually know. I think this is from Wikipedia. I didn't actually read it last time. So these are a bit different, these points, than what we're doing. But yeah, okay. So for our book, which is the book number 1 in the Eveningsun Trilogy, I've sort of planned what the trilogy is going to be about. Like for each book, but it's very, very top level, right? So I just wanna what, Chrome? Okay, that's fine. I just want to have this first book to be part of this cool challenge, and I can especially feel like after I'm not quite done with Want yet, but after basically writing 4 short stories with making so much background lore for that, so much different background lore that all has to be different, I do feel this is a good moment to try to do a book, to write a book. So, what did we do last time? Well, besides going meticulously through the hero's journey, let's just read. We did the intro, the ordinary world, and the call to adventure. Of course, everything that we write down is probably going to maybe not change entirely, but as we get more into the book, the background and everything, we're probably going to change stuff up. Anyway, we have an intro which says here definitely might change. Maybe we'll see if it'll change or not. The intro is 2 mysterious figures, Vespa's parents. Vespa is our main character. She is a 11 or 12-year-old girl, I believe. I said 12 here, I might make her 11. Though I didn't want too many comparisons to Harry Potter, so I don't know. It is probably just about the same, and it's fine. Delivers a baby Vespa to the Paladin Castle in a dramatic fashion at night, or in the evening at least. Supporting character 1, who we don't have a name for, but is a human female, finds Vespa at the doorstep, takes her in, and names her. Yes. So let's just make one for our supporting character. Make one of these. This is the way I make personas. I make characters. I have a long list of I have a long list of different points that we wanna go through. Name, age, appearance, belief, temper, values, needs, goals, desires, fears, and insecurities. We don't need soul bounds for her. Giant quirk, and ending with family and background. A little bit of storytelling there, and that sort of all of that makes our characters. And when we have all of that down, we make sure that it makes it much easier to know how the character will react in our story and in our given situation. So that's the intro. Then we go on to the first one, which is the ordinary world. Here we meet Vesper, our heroine. Oh yeah, I remember this was, I was really excited about this intro, this secondary intro to the story, I guess you could say. Where we meet our heroine for reals this time. We meet Vesper, our heroine, about to engage in a mighty battle with the dangerous dragon. She is fully equipped in the fitted armor of the Paladin Order, a warhammer bigger than she is, and adorning a shield painted with the Paladin Castle. The battle gets interrupted just as Vesper is about to slay the dragon. She throws her warhammer at the dragon's gaping maw, but it turns out it was all just a daydream. The dragon, a stone oven, the armor pots and pans, the shield, a pot lid, and the dragon, the armor, pots and pans, the shield, a pot lid, and the warhammer, a soup spoon, which she threw. The soup spoon hits SC1 on the forehead and abruptly brings Vesper back to the real world. Supporting character 1 asks Vesper if she's done with the chores. Vesper lies and gets called out immediately. Turns out Vesper was making a delivery to or from the castle's blacksmith when she walked past an empty kitchen and saw the fiery oven. So, never mind. I have a point that I want to bring up in just a minute, but let's just read the last sentence, goddammit. Supporting character 1 sends Vesper back to her chores, promising that she won't tell some minor character 1 about it if she finishes right away. So we need also a minor character. Minor characters in my stories. We're not gonna go too deep into those. I think Want was probably the first one where we really did that. Have minor characters. We call them side characters here. Yeah. So this is just a much more basic one. Much more basic one. And I don't think I want to call them minor characters unless because there's a little bit of a problem right there. Brainstorm, Creron. Wait, what? What happened? Did we not take everything with us from the other document? No, we didn't. Okay. So that's why. There we go. Side characters. We don't want... There we go. Naming Brainstorm, and let's go. Okay, so that's a much more... call them minor characters. I think Vesper is probably going to be the one. She's not going to be named Vesper though, this one. So yeah, where we have these like timbers and values, and needs and goals and all that. For minor characters, we're just gonna go through age, appearance, background, and motivation. Like, because there's going to be a lot of side characters, or minor characters. This is not Dandelion Crayon, of course. Those are from Want. But yeah, because there's going to be lots of these minor characters. Like, we don't want to get too hung up on the details, like the goals and needs and all that. Maybe that'll be written a little bit in the motivation, but we're not gonna, it's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine. So, why I really like this introduction to the ordinary world is that we get to see Vespa for who she is, of course, and she is someone. She is imaginative, she's playful, but she's also a little devious. Like she lies, albeit we haven't figured out how badly she lies, how well she lies. Just that the supporting character here is calling her out. And then we have this making a delivery to and from the castle blacksmith. Like, that's going to show that she is extraordinarily strong for her size and age, which is something most if not all Fey folk are much stronger. The Fey folk, of course, are the gnomes, the hobbits of our little universe here. So yeah, she's tiny. I think we mentioned in this one that she's like 90 to 120 centimeters tall. No, that's the adult phase. So she's like 50 to 70 centimeters tall. Probably closer to 70 centimeters, but she is very small. And she's going to be carrying like a crate showcasing her strength and all that. And it will also show. So we need to when we're writing, we need to make sure that it comes across that she's not actually human, but she's Feyan without saying she's a Feyan, because I'm not sure the people of this world would know what a Feyan was. Like, maybe they will. Haven't really figured that out. They probably will know that she's a Feyan though. Like, so one of our live streams is also going to be like going to make maps. Lots of them, I feel like. There's definitely going to be a map of the castle. And like catacombs and dungeons. But we also need to know where in the world this castle is. There's so much stuff that we need to figure out before November, but yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Yeah, so I'm really happy. Of course, it might change when we figure out the ending to the story, or when we actually start writing, or we figure out background lore and all that jazz. But yeah, that's the first point, the ordinary world. Then we will go on to the call of adventure, which is the initiating incident of the story. On her way to wherever she's making the delivery, it would make sense if she went from the blacksmith to the armory. But she already starts daydreaming again. Before she can get going with the dreams, though, she bumps into the son of the evening. Oh, okay, that was actually... I didn't actually read my own comment here. Armory could be if the chore was to deliver something from the blacksmith. You know, great minds think alike, or at least my minds think alike. Before she can get going with the dreams, though, she bumps into the son of the evening, who will be referred to as the SOE, the champion of the Paladin Castle. Son of the evening being a special title of knight champion at the castle, and the legend myth should get introduced here. That reminds me. Make sure to drive home the point of Vespa being faithful. Yes. So yes, the son of the evening being the knight title of this castle name, and there's a myth surrounding it, something like as long as the son of the evening defends the castle, defends this castle, it won't fall, the walls won't fall, or something to that end. Darkness won't fall. Yeah, so the son of the evening, that's the, I was about to say, there's going to be a prophecy that I'm not sure if I'm going to make that on stream or behind the scenes, but there's going to be a prophecy, and I want the prophecy to be in like 3 parts, so it would be like the part 1 is revealed in the first book, part 2 in the second book, part 3 of the prophecy is revealed in the third book, and they sort of all relate to what's going to happen in some way, but like vaguely. That's the idea, at least. I haven't actually made the prophecy yet. But yeah, that's definitely going to be the idea. And of course it's a prophecy, so it should be vague enough that we're not going to like, I don't want it to spoil the book or the ending, of course, but it would be cool to make a prophecy that's vague enough that people can make their own conclusions about it, right? I think that could be really fun, but I could also see that being a lot of work, especially since it's like a pillar of the story if we begin the story with it. That could maybe also be part of the intro, this prophecy here. So, the son of the evening scolds Vespa for being late with her delivery. He and other prominent people needed the things a while ago, and he makes Vespa feel really bad, so she starts crying. The champion takes Vespa's deliveries and walks away, tells Vespa to go to prayer at the temple like everyone else. I think here, just to showcase this little tiny faithful girl's strength, he should have a lot of trouble. This knight in big armor should have a lot of trouble lifting this up. Or maybe he's not walking around in armor, but I think you would only, well, you'd probably still walk around in armor when you're guarding something, right? But anyway, he should struggle with this case of supplies, of armor supplies or whatever. So should struggle with the supplies. Drive. Did we use drive before? Indirectly telling the reader just how strong Vesper is. All right. Cheers, everyone. Just like always, this is an average size mug. I am tiny. So, Vesper realizes that SOE dropped an item and decides to bring it to him. Bring it to him. Yeah, that makes more sense. To bring it to him. Afraid of another scolding if he finds out, so she's going to skip the temple, the lesson. Not the lesson, the prayer. Teaching. As it is, the temple, of course, is the teachings of the 5-pillar temple. On her way to where Son of the Evening went, she sees a hooded figure going down to the dungeons. Being easily distracted, Vesper decides to follow. Down in the dungeons, Vesper accidentally overhears a cloaked figure, the villain, talking to someone that she cannot see. The villain of this story. What Vesper overhears is a conspiracy to kill the leader of the castle's paladin order. Yes. So, supporting character is going to this, and then we're saying villain. We're just preparing. For when we're going to spend an enormous amount of time making characters and their personas. Okay, so that's the call to adventure. Now we are like, so there's a plot to assassinate the leader of the castle's paladin order. Here she should also, Vesper also learns about the flood, the doomsday prophecy. One of the doomsday prophecies for the equilibrium religion. So in case you haven't read Danger, my second short story, which I totally think you should, you can do so on forgottenfantasy.com. Humans have two religions. They have a new one called the Teachings of the 5 Pillars, which is very strict, very segregated as well, and very, let's say, firm in their belief in how to treat others who are not of the same belief. And then they have an old religion, which is called the equilibrium, which is about the balance of all things, focusing on fire and water as the main elements of the world. So at this point in the story, we are... Oh, it looks weird with my with my hands, with my wrists. At this point in the story, we are very much... how do you say? We're very much in the times of the teachings of the 5 pillars. The equilibrium is no more. At least that's what the teachings of the 5 pillars think. And of course, this is also something that we need to unravel throughout this story. That this castle temple is an old castle / temple for what was called Knights of the Lilies, which was the guardians of the equilibrium, the religion. And this Knights of the Lily sort of split into the Templars, which are very like aggressive. They're all about fire. They're all about attacking, burning shit down. And then we have the Paladins, which is where this story is going to take place, who are all about defense and I don't want to say stability, but they're not aggressive in the same way as the Templars are, but they can be like relentless if you cross them. And they're all about water magic. So this castle, whatever, is going to have like plenty of water reserves, which probably should need to play a role later. Also given that Vesper here learns about the flood, the doomsday prophecy for the equilibrium. Or maybe she just overhears it and then later it's explained by another character. Maybe she just hears about the flood for the first time. And later gets told about it. Mentor? I say mentor. Let's mentor or ally. Yeah, refuse to call because we have here the meeting with the mentor, right? That's a point in and on itself. Okay, so refusal to call. That only took half an hour to get to where we were. It's all right. It has been almost a week since, so it was also for myself, you know, to get myself back up to speed. Oh yeah, the hero gains supplies, knowledge and confidence needed to commence the adventure. Yes. So how do we do this? So I feel like, of course, she's going to be scared, first of all. So she's gonna run away and try to find supportive character number 1. I'm uncertain if I want supporting character number 1 to be her mentor. Because, like, the mentor is like an Obi-Wan character, a Yoda type character, or can be. That's like literal mentor, right? But it could, and I want to establish the supportive character 1, whoever she might be, as like this great ally, this friend of Vesper, like really confidant of Vesper. Like, she raised her, of course, or is raising her. She was the one who found her on the doorstep or wherever she found her. Or at least that's one of them. I was about to say that's one of the mentors, at least. Because we need to braid into the story, like so all Fae folk have a spirit bound, right? We learned that in Want. Not to say that you necessarily needed to read Want to read this one, whatever we might title it. Yeah, I was just wondering, like, do we need to... I guess that should happen in the intro. Then that we talk about the fact that Vespa doesn't have a spirit bound. Because all Fae folk have spirit bounds. Or they don't. They don't come out of the rite of binding. In the Great Cycle, which is the religion of the Fae folk. And of course, Vespa here is not... like she does... This castle is basically her whole world, right? She doesn't know about any of this stuff. But like I was saying, in the Fae folk religion, the Great Cycle, spirit bounds are thought to be old spirits of Fae folk sent back to guide the Fae folk, the Faeans. And they share life, literally. If one of them dies, the other dies as well. So here is a Fae folk who doesn't have a spirit bound. And that's of course something that we need to establish fairly early. Maybe we need to establish here. Establish that Vespa doesn't have a spirit bound. Spirit bound. Which is extremely odd for a Fae. So yeah, what I wanted to say, like, she didn't, of course, complete her rite of binding as a baby because she doesn't have a spirit bound. But why doesn't she have a spirit bound? Like, that should be a mystery, right? And how is she alive without a spirit bound? If the spirits, if the spirit bounds, the Faean and the animal are intertwined, their lives. It's all stuff that we need to figure out at some point. There's so much stuff that we need to figure out at some point. And the reason that I'm saying this is I want her to, at some point in the story, I want her to do two things. I want her to find an animal that she's gonna take care of. And I want her later to accidentally create her own rite of binding. And I have an idea as to what the rite of binding entails, but I haven't actually like if you follow along with our creation of Wand, the Rite of Amber, which is the death ritual of the Feyens, we had the whole paste out of a toxic mushroom and connecting them to the roots of the realm tree. So that's like, the ritual is down, but I don't actually have the ritual down for the spirit, for the Rite of Binding. So we need to figure out at some point what that's going to be. I have an idea what I think is pretty cool. But of course it would also, like, we would need to know how to make drama out of it. Action and drama. And I'm not sure where that's going to happen. And yeah, also, if the Rite of Binding, so a Rite of Binding, the way I have it right now, is that the Feyens put the newborns into a tent and put them there until the animal spirit bound finds them. And when they do, an elder druid walks in and completes the Rite of Binding, and they can come out. If no animal spirit bound comes to the tent, then it is believed that the newborn was not ready for guidance, and so, like, they're left to die, basically. No, that's literally what's going to happen, not just basically. So of course, bam, how is she a Feyen, without the Rite of Binding? Without the Rite of Binding completed, without a soul bound, spirit bound, not soul bound. And we need to flesh that out somehow. Yes. And of course, we need to settle on who is the villain of the story. Which I haven't settled on yet. I'm hoping it will come at some point. Otherwise, it's going to be mighty difficult to write an entire book in a month if we don't know who the villain of the story is going to be. Actually, let's write that down as a note. Where is there it is. So it's around 44 minutes. Don't know who villain is going to be. And in case you're wondering what I'm doing, I don't know if you can really see it. I don't think you can. No. I'm writing down what could be fun highlights for short form video, and I'm writing it down as we go, because so I don't have to rewatch every single minute of like 2-3 hour live stream. You know, it is what it is. It's a little abrupt in the action of the live stream, but I found that way better and way easier with limited time. Okay. Refusal of the call. So, Vesper runs away. Frightened, Vesper runs away to find supporting character 1 and tell her what she heard. And of course, villain villain notices her. Notices. No. Thanks Google for actually correcting that. I don't know. I feel my brain is a bit all over the place tonight. It is what it is. Hopefully it's not too bad. So villain notices her and starts to chase. Of course, here something I strongly disliked in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Star Wars series on Disney Plus. Like, I really liked the child actor for Leia. The way she spoke, her mimic, facial mimic and all that, she was great. But my god, she ran like a small child. She was a small child, of course, but there were, in the first couple of episodes, right, there were so many chase scenes where this small girl who barely know how to run outmaneuvers grown people, and it just like, it took me straight out of the suspension of disbelief. It was so bad, so badly done. So I want a chase scene here. This chase scene should be realistic. In that a 10-year-old shouldn't outmaneuver an adult. And I think the way we can get around that is that Vesper gets away by accident, basically. Like, she's going to fall into some sort of shaft or hidden mechanism. Gets away by accident. And I think it's also important that he doesn't actually notice her. Notices someone running away without knowing who. And starts to chase, yeah. So Vesper gets away by accident. I think that's way better. It's not like I don't want the main character to have agency, but I feel like suspension of disbelief is of course important. Chase scene. And what do I mean by suspension of disbelief? Well, suspension of disbelief is a great term, actually. And it's a term within writing, both for books and comic books and movies and all that jazz. Suspension of disbelief is you need to have everything you write needs to be believable. It doesn't need to be realistic, it needs to be believable within the confines of the story, right? So we're making a fantasy story. There's dragons in this world, in this Forgotten Songs universe. We know dragons don't exist in reality, right? It's not realistic that dragons exist. We know that. We know that there aren't fae people. We know that there's no magic with water or fire or whatever that's magic. But it needs to make sense. It needs to be believable within the story. And that's what it's called, suspension of disbelief. Like the reader or writer, or the reader or viewer is hopefully with what you're writing, I'm writing, when they're reading it, like they put their disbelief on hold. They believe what is going on in the story. And if that breaks, the suspension of disbelief, if that breaks, you're fucked, basically, right? We just talked about the 10-year-old outmaneuvering adults, not just an adult, but adults in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Another great example is a wonderful example, really, is in Game of Thrones. Was it season 7 or 8? It was so bad. So they spent so many episodes, so many seasons showing you this vast world, right? It took Ned and his entourage 5 episodes to get from the north to King's Landing. And then in the scene where Jon and the others, Jon and his entourage are trapped in the middle of a frozen lake, or a lake that is freezing up in this extreme cold weather, and the others, these ice zombies, are just gathered all around. In that scene where I think it's Gendry who is running from wherever they are to the wall, sends a raven to King's Landing. Dany reads it, takes Drogon, flies up there. She doesn't know where they are, finds them, and kills most of the ice zombies and saves them. Within one episode, it was so badly written that even the most hardcore fans of that show, I was already like, I watched it, but it was with an ironic distance after season 4 or 5. But yeah, that was so badly written, that scene, that the suspension of disbelief for the very hardcore audience was broken. And suddenly they started to question and see the flaws, the cracks everywhere else in the story because of that one moment. And there were a lot of cracks. Like my suspension of disbelief, also because I read the book, had cracked way earlier. Just showing that I am a true fantasy nerd. But that's why it's so important. Like, as long as you keep people believing in your story that this fantasy, this magic, this weird, crazy, dark, wonderful world as long as they believe that, you can get away with almost anything. But as soon as you break their suspension of disbelief, hell is gonna rain down on you, just like it did with Game of Thrones. I think that was a rather long explanation on the suspension of disbelief. Suspension of disbelief. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, we want to avoid that as much as we can. Yes. Oh look, we spent an hour talking about so many other things than actually... Whoops, sorry. Actually getting something down. But that's part of the process, right? So yeah, I want this castle. This is where when we're going to draw maps and such, I want this castle to be like I said, it was raised on an old, the grounds of an old great battle. But there should also be because the Paladins took over from, or seized the castle from the Knights of the Lily at some point in history. Oh, we need to do timeline as well. Oh my god. And of course, the Knights of the Lily were believers in the Equilibrium, and the Paladins are believers of the teachings of the Five Pillars. So I want it to be like catacombs or something that's hidden. Because I want fairly early. And I think this should be it. This is like the refusal of the call. This should be it. And that's probably she's going to meet a mentor there that can tell her about new things. Like the flood, for example. And yeah, like I said, the prophecy could also be here, or maybe the first and second part of the prophecy. So she gets away by accident. She's either going to fall into some not unknown catacombs, but hidden catacombs. Well, I guess hidden and unknown are probably the same. So anyways, yeah, she gets away by accident and she ends up in catacombs. Hidden catacombs. Ends up in hidden catacombs. And maybe she can't get away. Maybe she can't get down, up, because these catacombs are, of course, below ground. And if we were like here, we were in some sort of dungeons, then catacombs could be like a level below that. Because then we could have like, I have this idea that I want the mentor to be like this old grave digger who finds her. And you know, it could be really fun if the one of the final, very, very final scenes would be this grave digger, you know, bashing someone's head with his shovel, like in Home Alone. I can see that be fun, like when all the action has ended, and then the villain rises again or something, and then boom, he's just hitting the head with the mentor, the grave digger that no one thought of, basically. No one paid attention to. I'm coming up with so many good ideas here around the 1 hour mark. Grave digger final scene. Home Alone. Home Alone reference. There we are. Yeah, I do just a little announcement. The stream is not going to be the longest stream tonight. It's going to be like an hour more. I have, unless something happens, but I have my brother visiting me. You know, gotta keep up the grind. Anyway, so Vesper gets away, ends up in hidden catacombs. Gets away by accident. Triggers a mechanism, or wall, floor, crashes, breaks. Beneath her. Around, beneath her. I feel like that's sort of the two. Different ways this could be done. I'm not so sure on the whole mechanism thing, because I feel like when you start doing mechanical stuff, like, it's not like medieval times didn't have mechanical stuff, right? And it's not like it necessarily janks people out of their suspension of disbelief, as we so elegantly talked about before. But like, it requires like an entirely different, I was about to say set of skills. I don't know, I feel like once you start doing mechanical stuff like hidden doors and so on, I want it to be simple, that's what I'm saying. Because suddenly you're talking about some technology that's maybe is there, but like, how did they make it? And I don't know if that's needed. Like in Harry Potter, the second one, parcel tonguing Harry parcel-tonguing his way into the Chamber of Secrets. That did sound dirty. It wasn't. But you know, it always sort of bothered me that, you know, he's speaking this blah blah blah, speaking this snake speak, parcel tongue, and that's great. And then the floor raises and the sink changes, and it's suddenly a staircase down. There's a lot of mechanical stuff going on there that I sort of felt clashed with the whole thing. It wasn't just magic then, it was... Well, I guess it was magic, but it felt mechanical. Okay, but the catacombs Catacomb is a burial site for the heroes of the great battle where the castle was raised. The castle was raised. Vespa still scared, but her curiosity yes, takes over. Maybe she finds the animal I was talking about, that will become her spirit bound. Maybe she finds it here. I want Vespa to be this, like, she's the one going her own ways, right? So what if she doesn't explore the catacombs now? At this point, what if she... What if she just finds the animal there? And I have a very clear idea of what I want the animal to be. I want it to be a yellow parrot. And I want it to be called Lemon. And I have a very good reason for that, because I had a budgie, small cute budgie, who was yellow, and I had her since middle of high school, and 14 years. She was basically with me as I became an adult, and I want to honor her by having her be an intricate part of this trilogy, these stories. So of course Vespa is going to name her the same. She was called Citron, which is Danish for lemon. And so we need to figure out that. I guess Vespa likes lemon cakes or something. That could also be a reference to Game of Thrones. Sansa likes lemon cakes. And of course there's a whole red door among the lemon trees about the mystery about Daenerys, where she was birthed and grew up. Yeah, that's something we want. The story. So I might not want her curiosity to take over here. So Vespa is scared. She is just scared. Like, scared. She's all alone in a dark room. Various small injuries. She's like, she hasn't broken anything, but you know, she scraped her knees and something. Maybe she's bleeding. She did have a fall after all. And hurting from she is also afraid that she would draw the attention of a villain if she makes too much noise. Too much noise. So we really want to say, like, show how frightened she is here. Of course, she's a 10-year-old girl, a 12-year-old girl. Maybe she's 10. Yeah, maybe she's just 10. I wrote up here. Let's just say 10. So in the dark, however, she hears a subtle, subtle whistle. It says like, Citron used to make, my budget used to make these small whistles, these just like the most innocent "Are you still there?" whistle when she was going to bed and I was gaming. It was the cutest thing. I'm just gonna write Citron whistles. Oh yeah. And of course, we need to figure out how a bird, a parrot at that, got there, right? If this is if this is like catacombs below the ground, how did a bird end up there? I don't think it's something that we need to write out explicitly in the story, but it's probably nice to have for later. Yeah, I realized something that that could be good. I realized something that I think could be really good. So we figure out a way that Lemon, the budgie, the small parrot, yellow parrot, figure out a way that she got to the catacombs. Not obviously not through the same fall or mechanism that Vespa got there, but like maybe a vent or something, because it is so deep underground. So catacombs would have to have vents, right? Catacombs vents. Opening in underground tunnels, particularly the Paris catacombs, that provide necessary airflow to prevent the buildup of dangerous carbon dioxide. Yeah, so catacombs would have to have vents. Maybe if we say medieval catacombs. Yeah. What kind of did have smoke? Is that no? It wasn't that. We said catacombs. Google. So then later, what I was thinking, later we could have Vespa and Lemon being trapped down there in the catacombs again. By the villain, who's then going to... who've been thwarted a couple of times. Oh, medieval world building, cool. Like that would be the way out, right? That would be the natural way out. And then we would lampshade how lampshade first now how Lemon got in there or down there, and then later when they're trapped, it would be a plot point how they get back up again, right? And if it's a vent which have like a grid or something on top, it could be, you know, she's so strong that the Vespa's just gonna burst it open. Okay, so this one, medieval tunnel ventilation. How could a fairly advanced medieval civilization ventilate tunnels that go between cities? Ideally, the tunnels are big enough for carts to pass. Magic is an option, but I'm hoping a non-magical explanation would work. I need to join this. Oh, well, with my user. Look into how the ventilate mine shafts. History of mine ventilation. I am going to save this. The whistle, it turns out, is from an injured bird how did the bird get there? Ends. Make it a plot point later, e.g. if Vespa lemon are trapped, it with the maybe event being the escape. Yes. And then we have the world building, ventilation. Of course, Vespa doesn't have any light sources with her, so that's sort of I'm a little bit torn. I'm a little bit torn between. Oh, actually, let's make a note of that revelation with the events. Catacombs / events revelation. I'm a little bit torn here in the fact that I would like Vespa to explore these catacombs, because this is going to be the catacombs where the Son of the Evening is laid to rest. The original Son of the Evening, and not Sun with a U, but Sun with an O. No, the other way around. Not Sun with an O, as we had out here, which was the title of the champion, but Sun with a U, so the Sun, the Suns. As in the star that brings daylight, and not the offspring, the male offspring. Because that's opened up to like this misinterpretation, mistranslation. Like I want the paladins to, when they seized control of the castle, they believed, or they didn't, they wouldn't dare not believing in the myth of, as long as there's a Son of the Evening defending the castle, it won't fall. So they kept on that title, but they misheard it as Sun, the male offspring, and not the sky, the light on the sky. Of course, we have two suns in this world, in the sky. And I don't want it to be a plot point, but like a funny, weird little play on words, right? Something that's only going to work in English. So I'm very interested to see how we'll manage to do it in Danish once we get that far, but that won't be until like next year, I think. So yeah. Where was I? I feel like there was a tangent we went out of. So yeah, oh yeah, we wanted... Vespa falls down. It's dark. Of course it's dark. It's a hidden catacombs that no one has been to in forever. So either she manages to light a fire and find the bird, and then explores these catacombs, or she don't manage to light a fire. It is pitch black, dark. She wanders around trying to listen to the bird, trying where it is. It sounds injured, which it is. That's actually... I was about to say, it's a good opportunity to have the bird injured. To not an opportunity to have the bird injured, but like having the bird injured is a good opportunity to show off. Like the paladins, we use healing magic with their blessed water. We have mentioned it. I've mentioned it in Calamity, my very first short story. That the teachings of the 5 pillars, the chapiters, the monks, the priests use blessed water to heal, whereas the dwarves used fire magic, where water magic was way more pleasant. But that's sort of the only mention I have of that. And I think this would be a good way of showing. So like, my bird, Citron, she had an injury in her later years where she fell down in her cage. It was quite a big cage. I think she was 12 at that point. 12 or 13. But she dislocated her one wing, and I went to the vet with her. She got x-rays, and we found out she dislodged her wing. But because she was so old, there wasn't really much point in trying to fix the damages. So, I mean, this is a nice way of... What if that wing healed? For me, at least. So yeah, it's definitely going to be injured, and with that injury, I think. But okay, so let's think this through. Vespa manages, she can barely see inside the catacombs. I guess there's a little light coming from the vent. A vent that is like hidden under a bush or something. Right next to the temple. Temple of the 5 pillars. Maybe inside the Temple of the 5 Pillars? So that also raises the question, why were the catacombs hidden away? And maybe... I feel I'm going on a tangent here as well. Why was the catacombs hidden away? But also, what if idea, what if it is all son of the evening champions from Knights of the Lily? I don't know, I feel like maybe it's a fine line we're walking between... I don't know. We want there to be like this great, huge, epic backstory, right? And it just needs to make sense. So it's a problem. Sense making, god damn it. Oh, anyway. So it turns out it's from an injured bird. Actually, Vespa thinks whatever is making the sound is injured. This indeed from an injured bird. Whatever is whistling sounds injured. And that makes it making her less scared and more determined to find out what it is. So she can help. So I really want her to have, Vespa to have a big heart for animals. Of course she is Feyen, so that makes sense. That makes total sense. So she can help. Big heart for animals of all kind. She tries to maneuver in the dark. My foot is caught on some sort of cable. Well, I know it is what cable it is. I know what cable it is, but I didn't know what's going on there. How it caught it. Tries to maneuver in the dark, gently talking to gently talking in order to get more whistling back. The whistles, it turns out, is indeed from an injured bird. That she picks up without any problem. Feeling an instant connection. Even though they can't really see each other, even though they can't really see each other. Yes. I think that's pretty much the refusal to the call, so she wants to do something, right? She's a child, she doesn't know what to do about this plan that she overhears. And so she runs away. That's her refusal. She gains the supplies, knowledge, and confidence needed to commence the adventure. Like, I think we're going to mix up refusal of the call and meeting with the mentor. Because then this gravedigger character that I think we want is about to save her from the catacombs. You know what? I was about to say, well, I was about to draw, but I can't have my. So I'm writing this on a Chromebook, a cheap one, which is my writing Chromebook, my writing device when I'm not writing in by hand. But I can't have this and my webcam that I usually use when handwriting on at the same time, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I guess maybe we could. I mean, we should have a paint thing here, shouldn't we? Chrome canvas. Sure. Let's go. Yes, that's me. I'm not sure why it needed me to sign in. Okay. Oh, does this have layers? Ooh. You know what? Let's go with the black one. Maybe that one. Maybe a little darker, like that. Oh, this is cool. Have layers. So anyway, white size. No, not the crayon. Definitely not the crayon. Yeah, probably that one, but way bigger. Why is there a... Okay, that one. We have it. Why is there opacity? For fuck's sake. Okay. I just wanted to... Yeah, I guess that's good. I just wanted to have a real quick... So, like... What if we had the temple... There's a temple here. So, it's like Let's have like pillars, and there we go. It's like this, another pillar here. I'm doing this by with my mouse, by the way. This is why it's so beautiful. So these are a couple of the pillars. Every temple, of course, have 5 pillars. Let's just this is the temple. This is the temple, and then we have like this graveyard here. Graveyard with small pillars. Just completely by accident. You'll know this. We talked about this, I think, in when we made Danger. Oh, you won't actually know if we made it because I made that on my own outside of live stream. But like, they don't have crosses. They have small pillars. That's sort of the symbol for this religion. But this is a graveyard. Graveyard. And temple. And then we have the catacombs somewhere down here. Oops. You know, so there's like a guy here, dead. And then, of course, we had the vent system. I don't know how to make that. Probably something like that. And that goes up, and completely by accident, it goes to the graveyard. That's a vent. So, catacombs. Hidden. I mean, if this isn't a wonderfully drawn if this isn't a wonderfully drawn schematic, I don't know what it is. It's not really a schematic though, but so we have our little girl here. And her little bird. It's way too much. But like, they're trapped, right? But she's talking. Trapped. If this isn't... This is, by the way, the very, very first drawing I've made of anything on stream, and maybe even in my universe. So wow, what a start! What a fantastic beginning. Anyway, what I wanted to say, so there's like a gravekeeper up here. It's like the grave digger here. He's here with his shovel. He never goes without. Grave. Digger. I mean, this is almost as beautiful as my actual handwriting. Almost. But what I want to say, so she's talking, right? Down here. And this is also the vent. Maybe it's hidden underneath the bush at the graveyard. I don't know. But she's talking to the bird, the lemon, the little lemon. And when she does that, the gravedigger, who is walking around at the temple graveyard, suddenly hears them. And so maybe there shouldn't be a grid here, but you know. And so to save them, he puts a rope down here. Rope. And he gets them out, right? So this catacombs, they sort of remain a mystery still for the wider gallery of characters. My god, what a brilliant, if I may say so myself, depiction. But so what if the rope is left here, right? That could be the way out. Or maybe I can't really lose the rope, but yeah, it's just something to think about. After the gravedigger, who will now become the mentor, gets little Vespa and her little lemon bird out, maybe she sort of forgets the rope. Man, what a wonderfully... And then that rope plays a part later when she has to escape from their drawing of temple, graveyard, catacombs. I'm actually feeling quite good about that, to be honest. I'm feeling really good about that. So that's sort of how she meets the mentor, right? As Vespa, I think we have 10 minutes left here on the stream. I think we can write a bit here, because then I just want to note this. Crossing the threshold would then be Vespa venturing back down into the catacombs to explore. And that's when she finds out about the son of the evening and all that. As Vespa reassures the little bird, she hears a faint voice asking if someone is down. If someone is there and heard. Turns out it's the gravedigger, the temple's gravedigger, who Vespa has never really liked. Well, maybe Vespa has always been a little scared of. But that's of course going to change now. See, I'm really leaning into the Home Alone reference here. been, no, he's going to be a minor character too, as well. Supporting character is SC1. Billing character BI1. Minor character number 1. Let's see. So that's probably going to be the chapter of Temple. And this one is Gravedigger. And he's number 2. Minor character number 2. Supporting character number 1. Pass. Older sister. Older sister and paladin. Yes. Vespero's always been Vespero's always been a little bit afraid of. He brings down a rope through a vent. So, okay, so the problem with this so it's sort of, it messes if she gets saved by a rope through the vent, that messes with the potential ending reveal of how Lemon got there in the first place. Lemon fell down. Lemon dislocated a wing, and she fell down, tumbled into the vent, and down here. Maybe she was chased by a predator or something. Because that way, when they get trapped down there the second time, like, we can't have this big reveal, right? That, oh, it was the vents, and then they try to go up through them. But if the vent is the if the vent is not used to rescue Lemon and Vespa, then her rescuers would need to come from the dungeon. And that would sort of open it up dungeon. Right, so this is where she fell down. I mean, so we can keep the catacombs in the story, we can keep them more hidden if she's rescued through the vents, I guess. But I do quite like that reveal of the second time they're trapped down there. Vesper would ask Lemon, how did you get down here in the first place? And it would be revealed that there is an air vent. Okay, but for now, vent or no vent discussion. Wrote down vent discussion. Pro can keep. Makes sense with Gravedigger. Makes sense with Gravedigger. Can keep catacombs still fairly hidden. Less of a reveal if Vesper / Lemon gets trapped in the catacombs a second time. So let's just have it for now. He brings her down the vent. Rescuing them both. Gravedigger takes them to his small hut, small home. Nurses them and warms them with tea, blankets, etc. Vesper realizes that he isn't such a bad guy. Vesper asks if he knows about the flood, if he knows what the flood is. To which the Gravedigger actually he was of course MNC2 tells her what he knows. And here I want Vesper to is now intrigued to know that the world doesn't revolve, or there's more to the world, that there's more to the world than the teachings of the five pillars. So he could also be a priest or like a chapter. Anyway, I want supportive character 1 comes in all concerned about Vesper and brings her to her own. Brings her back to bed. Vesper shows the bird she found. Of which supportive character 1 isn't sold on her having a pet. Have a pet. Of course, it is much more than that. Bird. Okay, if it's not a grave digger, if it's a chapter, then the chapter could heal if not gravedigger, but a chapter. He could heal Vesper's wounds and Lemon's bird. Dislodged at his orders. So he might be a chapter, and then if chapter Vesper could dislike him instead of fear. And tells the name of Lemon. So that's sort of meeting the mentor. Of course, would a chapter talk about old blasphemous religion? And yes, we did run through with the meeting with the mentor. because I think I'm going to end the live stream here, and then we're going to continue tomorrow with crossing the first threshold and maybe test allies and enemies. I think we got pretty far tonight. I mean, look at this beautiful masterpiece. The first drawing ever made for Forgotten Songs universe. Right, we will end here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to follow along, and remember that we're all doing this preparation for November. Hashtag Novel November is probably what we're going to call it. Where we're going to write an entire book in 30 days. It's going to be funny and interesting, and I hope to see you there. And I hope to see you again tomorrow around the same time. Right. And just remember that we write our own stories. Bye!